Hi, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the different types of events that we can find in the salsa world. I'm also going to be talking about the main benefits that I see to each of them because they're all very different, and depending on what your goals are, you would probably want to focus more on some versus others. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the costs and basically explain what each of them are. Okay, so yeah, first of all, I'm going to talk about what it means, what exactly the event name itself represents, and what you can expect from this type of event. I'm going to share the average cost of each event at the time of this recording, that is 2024. And finally, I'm going to be sharing, in my opinion, which are the benefits that each event has so that you can decide if that aligns with what you're looking for, and then you can look for more events of this kind. Okay? And why should you listen to me? My name is Diego Rivera. Together with my partner Yarisa, we teach in New York City during the weekdays and usually on the weekends. Most weekends throughout the year, we're traveling internationally to perform and teach in different countries. So I've attended and been part of a lot of these events, and I just want to share my experience and recommendations with you. We also have a free community where we have people from all over the world that they share ideas. I also included a couple free masterclasses inside the community that you can access by clicking the link down below. You'll be able to join and access for free one musicality masterclass and also one body movement and body mechanics masterclass. So make sure to check that out. Okay, let's get started. So the first type of event is a Salsa Congress. So what is a Salsa Congress? Basically, it's a type of convention. Think maybe like a Comic-Con or a Congress about your job, where you go to a convention center and then you will find people who are experts in different subjects, usually giving talks or teaching workshops. Now, when we talk about Salsa Congresses, there are three main things that are happening in this type of events, that are the workshops, the shows, and the social dancing. So these are the three main activities that you will be part of when you join a Salsa Congress. And usually the price for a full pass to be able to access this Congress, that usually lasts 3 days, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Although there are some exceptions because some Congresses start from Thursday to Saturday and they don't do Sunday. Some events last the whole week, from Monday to Sunday. And I've also seen events in Europe that last up to 2 weeks. So that is definitely going to influence the price of the full pass. The main benefits that you will get from attending a Salsa Congress is that you will have access to probably the best instructors in the world. And this is something that is very cool because they all travel to meet in one place, and you will be able to easily switch and hop from conference room to conference room and be able to take classes with really masters of their craft in different areas, such as body movement, musicality, partner work, mambo footwork, Cuban, LA style, New York style. There is a lot of variety. You will usually find the best of the best in the salsa congresses. You will be able to learn directly from them, and usually you will be able to take up to 4 to 6 hours of workshops throughout the day, and usually it will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it will be a 3-day event. After the workshops are done, usually there is a resting period, and after this, the shows will start. The shows are basically a showcase of the artists of the event, displaying a choreography, whether solo, partner work, or group, where you will see their true creativity shine, and it's definitely very, very inspiring to watch. Besides the classes and besides the shows, the other main aspect of the Salsa Congress is the social dancing. Salsa Congresses are definitely basically a big party where you will be able to learn, watch shows, or perform yourself, and also have a lot of fun with your friends. I think you should go to a Salsa Congress if you want to be able to get quick access to a lot of content from different instructors. Now, I think there are three main variations of Salsa Congresses usually. The first one is basically a standard Salsa Congress that is just workshops, shows, and social dancing. But there is another type that I'm going to talk about right now, that is salsa competitions, right? So competitions is also usually in a conference center, but they will be competing, displaying their choreographies to a panel of judges, okay? Usually these judges are going to be the best of the best in the world, and they're going to be using scores to see how good or how well you are doing with your choreography. There's different divisions such as solos, partner work, groups, group shines, group partner work. There's pretty much everything. And the reason I put the price basically the same is because usually some congresses are just a standard congress and others have a competition part, but the full pass is going to be the same. So it doesn't matter if you want to compete or not to attend the event. There is one base full pass that you have to acquire. It's exactly the same. The only thing is when you start to compete, now there's division fees depending on how many times you want to enter to compete. So if you want to compete just one time as a soloist, For example, you should probably be paying around $30 per division that you compete in. But if you want to compete, with a couple, with a group, and then as a solo, your division fees will now start to rise up to the hundreds of dollars. So you have to consider that on top. Now, I think the main benefit of a salsa competition is that you have that pressure on yourself, that you have a deadline where you will be able to display your choreography. And I see it kind of like as a test in school, right? You put your mind through a test to make sure that you learn that content the right way. And then you get a score to see how well you actually learn the content. It's basically the same for salsa. So I would recommend this for people who are aspiring to be good performers. Doesn't matter if you're going to be doing it professionally or semi-professionally or just as an amateur, but if in general you want to continue performing and you want to improve as a performer, I think a competition is an amazing way. It's a very good tool to put a deadline so that you're going to be able to train with a little bit more pressure on yourself and make sure that you clean every detail of your choreography to be able to score as high as you can in a competition. Now, the third variation of a Salsa Congress, I would say, is a Salsa Marathon. This is becoming now very popular in Europe. You will probably not find shows in a Salsa Marathon because it's going to be mostly focused on social dancing. That's why the price of this full pass is usually a little bit lower. There's not going to be shows usually, and there is probably going to be less workshops, although I've seen variations where there's a ton of workshops and a ton of social dancing, or mainly social dancing, maybe a few classes. But basically, the focus of a salsa marathon is social dancing all the time. So this is basically a 3-day party where you're going to go social dance with your friends, enjoy good music, enjoy the amazing DJs that you will probably find. And the main reason you would probably want to join a salsa marathon is if you want to practice your social dancing for hours and hours and hours with other people who are also more social dance focused, right? So there's people who are usually more social dance focused, others who like performing more, others who do a little bit of everything. If you definitely want to practice more your social dancing, if you want to have more fun and also just be in contact and network with other dancers from all over the world, I think a salsa marathon would be a very good idea. If you found this video helpful so far, just make sure to leave a like down below so that I can know that you're enjoying this content and that you find it helpful so I can create more content like this. Also, if you would like to learn something specific, make sure to comment it down below so that I can see and create more content towards what you want to learn. All right, let's go to the next topic, that is socials, social dancing. So usually socials is just a one-night event where you will go to a party. People will be mainly social dancing. If you go to a salsa school that is mainly a salsa school, a lot of studios host socials that are more geared towards the styles of dance that they teach at that studio. There's also independent organizers that are just organizers or sometimes DJs that host socials that are not exactly linked to any type of dance school. And usually the price for the social will range from $10 to $30. You will, in average, be able to dance for 4 to 6 hours. Now, the main benefit that I see to a social is that you will be able to put into practice everything that you've learned in class. So if you take a lot of classes, actually you will be learning a lot of technique, but you will not be getting as many repetitions in class. Usually the teacher is going to be speaking a lot, right? Now, once you learn this material, the best thing that you can do is put it into practice, and you can do it 2 ways. One way would be through social dancing, and another way would be through performing. Now, I recommend a lot more social dancing because it is basically improvisation. It's something on the spot. It's not something that is choreographed. So you will train a lot your lead and follow technique because you will have to adjust to many different types of dancers. Now let's talk about boot camps. A boot camp has a different definition in many different places. I've seen places where they call a boot camp a challenge a boot camp, or they say no, a boot camp is 6 hours of training with a teacher versus a challenge that is only 4 hours. I've heard pretty much everything, but usually a boot camp will be a performance training where you will be able to train for 4 to 6 hours with one teacher to perform at a congress. So imagine that you get to the event on Friday, you train for 2 hours, 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday, and then you perform right away on Sunday. The fee for the bootcamp I've seen usually is from $50 to $120. And I think this is one of the best things that you can do if you want to spend a lot of hours training with one specific instructor. So usually when you go to a congress, the artists that are invited will sometimes teach only 1 hour of a workshop, sometimes 2. But usually when you do a boot camp, you will be able to train an additional 4 to 6 hours with this instructor. So that's a lot of extra time. Usually this $50 to $120 is going to be an add-on on top of the full pass of the event. So keep that in mind. Now, there's also a different type of boot camp that I've seen that is not performance-based. It's very similar. It's just that it's pretty much an intensive training where you will see different topics. Think of it an extended seminar. where you will be learning different subjects. So, for example, let's say that I want to do a Mambo bootcamp. So maybe on the first hour I will teach fundamentals. On the second hour I will teach pachanga. On the third hour I will teach partner work, and then on the fourth hour I will do spin technique. So I've also heard concept of an intensive training called the bootcamp as well. So it can be a little confusing because there's no standard really for what this name means, but usually when you read the details of the event, you will find out. Now, a challenge, usually all the time, 100% of the time that I've seen where this word is being used, a challenge, it is 100% a performance challenge. It's the same concept of what I explained of a bootcamp, where you will be able to train with your specific instructor for 4 to 6 hours and then perform in a fast way. I think you should definitely do performance bootcamps or challenges if you want to deep dive into the technique of one specific instructor, and also if you want to receive more personalized attention. Usually in an open workshop, you can find even hundreds or up to thousands of people in workshops. I've seen events in Europe that have almost reached 1,000 people in one workshop. Uh, but usually, since to be part of a performance challenge, you have to pay an additional. There is a there is a much bigger filter, and you will be able to have more personalized attention with your instructor with much fewer people. One of the benefits of being part of the challenges or boot camps is also that it will train you to learn choreography quickly and giving your 150% energy towards your performance, even though we all know that you learn it in a very, very short period of time. I think this helps you work on your retention. It forces you to learn under pressure and with little time. And I think this can be a very useful skill once you start to work as a professional, because there are a lot of changes that can happen when you work as a professional, and you want to make sure that you are resilient, that you're able to learn choreos fast, that you're able to adapt and change depending on what the event needs. So I think this skill is very useful to practice, and I think bootcamps and challenges will help you with this. Now let's talk about workshops or masterclasses. So a workshop is usually 1 hour, sometimes even 1 hour and a half. I've seen also the word masterclass being used to talk about workshops in a more deep way. And workshops you will find usually in Salsa Congresses, or sometimes there will be events called weekenders, where it's basically kind of like a very small Salsa Congress, but with 1 or 2 artists, which will be teaching workshops, right? You will be basically taking classes from the instructors where they will be teaching technique pretty much like any regular class. The only thing is that most likely, since this instructor comes from abroad, they will try to teach you something different. They will try to teach you their technique, because a lot of the fundamentals you probably should already have learned with one of your local instructors. If somebody comes from so far to teach you something, they will want to give you something that you don't usually have access to, right? Now, that being said, I think a lot of places we are in a sort of way lacking good fundamentals. So teachers will also in the workshops be going over a lot of fundamental concepts, but also trying to teach you something that is very specific of their style, because you don't usually have access to them 24/7. So if they're going to come from very far, they will probably want to teach you something special during this hour that is different from your regular weekly classes. Usually a normal rate for workshops is about $25 per hour. So if you go to an event where they are offering 3 workshops with one instructor, you will probably a fair price or an average price that you will pay for 3 workshops to take with 3 hours to take with one instructor is about 75. I think you should definitely enroll in workshops and masterclasses with your teachers, because we never stop learning. There's also a lot of technique that can help you feel more comfortable when you're dancing. It doesn't matter if it's for your footwork, for your body mechanics, for your partner work, for your shows. I promise you, every time you take class, there is something that you will be able to improve. And if you improve at least 1% every time you take class, that will that will continue to add on in the future. It will help you grow to a whole different level. Now let's talk about salsa schools, salsa academies. Usually they have different prices. I'm gonna be talking here about membership prices. So dropping prices for a single class, they can vary so much between different regions, and also memberships will vary a lot. For example, here in New York City, an average membership for unlimited classes, think about probably 8 classes per week at one school, will range at around $350 per month. While in South America, I've seen a lot of studios where they offer, because of the difference in cost of living, the memberships will be around $50. one of the main benefits of being part of a salsa school is the consistency, right? It's kind of like a gym membership. You have all the consistency, you have people who are teaching you the fundamentals, the basics. So you always keep practicing, practicing, improving. And there's some studios that are really good that are now starting to offer other types of classes, not just salsa, footwork, and partner work, but start to offer musicality, lady styling, spin technique, body movement, afro, rumba, and having a membership to one school will give you access to all these classes. So definitely enroll in a salsa school or in a program if you want to improve, because having that consistency and learning technique and practicing every single week will be very beneficial for you in the long run. I know a lot of dancers that they took classes for a couple months and then they just social dance. Sometimes I hear that people just learn through social dancing and then they never go take classes. And usually these are the same dancers that I see that are getting off timing or are pulling and hurting the follower. So just make sure that if you're going to be doing something that has contact with another human being, I think it's very important that we study this. I know back in the day, there were no salsa schools in the past. There was a moment where basically salsa you would learn in the nightclub dancing, when I think the level of intricacy of the dance was a lot lower. Doesn't mean that the level was lower. It's just that it's not the same way that it was danced a few decades ago than the way we dance today. It's completely different. So if you're gonna be social dancing regularly at events where most people take classes, you don't want to be that person that doesn't have good technique and you try to do spins or partner work combinations that you see on internet and then you don't know really how to do them correctly because you didn't learn the correct technique. So you definitely don't want to be one of those people. So make sure that you're taking class. I recommend a good amount of hours per week to take class is 2 hours per week. If you can do more, that's super good. But I would recommend not less than 2 hours per week of taking class if you want to see consistent growth. Now I'm going to talk about online classes. Something I found very helpful when I started to dance was to learn online, because I was really embarrassed, I think, in the beginning, especially as a leader. You not only have to be in charge of your own timing, your own footwork, but when you're dancing partner work, you also have to be thinking about the steps of the follower and what combination you're going to lead. You also have to think ahead the turn pattern that you're going to be doing. So in the beginning, it can be very overwhelming to be doing so many things in a class where there's an instructor saying go and there's music and there's a lot of people and you're learning and you don't know what's happening. So I think it can be very overwhelming. And what I did is that I was taking online classes in the beginning simultaneously so that I could practice and I could improve at a faster rate so that when I would get to the in-person classes, I would be at a much higher level and I could learn faster. So I think this probably sped up my growth by a few years. I don't think that I would have been able to follow along so quickly in an in-person class if I didn't couple that with my online classes as well. And it's not only something that you can do as a beginner. I think there are also a lot of international artists that nowadays are teaching online classes. So it's an amazing way for you to connect with your favorite style or your favorite. It doesn't matter where you live. Now with high quality video and sound, it's basically like having your favorite instructor right in front of you in your living room teaching your class. And I want to do a quick shout out to one of my mentors, that is Rodrigo Cortázar. I was dancing already for about 6 years. I think I was feeling a little bit stuck, like I was plateauing. I decided to take some online classes with him. And I think that was definitely the spark that I needed to continue to grow and be exposed to new technique and very good technique. I think at the moment he was living in Spain and I was living in Central America, so it was a huge distance physically, but I was able to train with him sometime on a weekly basis. And I think I learned so many details that would change the way I danced in person in my own studio, and I think that helped me grow at a much faster pace. Make sure to subscribe. We're almost 10,000 subscribers. I really hope you find this helpful, and make sure to leave a like if you found this helpful. See you in the next one.